Hello everyone and welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the latest Liverpool Transfer Podcast. I'm Steve Hoy, joined by Dan Club, and from the COP TV we've got Alex Kildea Trot as well. So the latest Liverpool news, updates, rumours all around the transfer market. Everything that we say in the next hour to half an hour, whatever it is, all true at time recording. If something changes or mad stuff happens in the transfer market, we can only apologise. Things move very, very quickly, as we know, unless it's in the Liverpool case and then nothing happens. But anyway, we can move on. Dan, I'll start with you if you don't mind. Obviously, since we last spoke on this show, we've spoke about it in numerous other places, but the Anthony Gordon saga was the one that was a thing, very much a thing, wasn't a thing, isn't a thing. You spoke to Lee Ryder a few days ago for, obviously, those who don't know, he covers Newcastle for the Chronicle. He wrote a piece today and the subheading was, and I quote, Newcastle United sources have suggested that Liverpool could return with a cash bid for Anthony Gordon. So it feels, like I say, the noise coming from the northeast is that they aren't completely convinced this one's absolutely dead in the water from a Liverpool perspective, even though they remain rather steadfast that they don't want to sell the player.
No, and unsurprisingly, not really. I think I said sort of right at the start of the week when all this first sort of started to die down and the dust settled a little bit on what was a bit of a chaotic weekend, really, in the Anthony Gordon saga. I think two of the three pivotal components in making a transfer happen were clearly well on board with this transfer happening. Anthony Gordon and Liverpool, for all intents and purposes. The only one that weren't really, it was Newcastle. It was more of a necessity than an actual burning desire to allow the player to leave. But when Liverpool have laid their cards on the table and said, yeah, we'd be half interested in Anthony Gordon, and Anthony Gordon's had his head turned and said, yeah, I'd be dead keen to go to Liverpool, all of a sudden you can't unsay those things. You can't unremove yourself from that conversation. That's happened now. So it's no shock whatsoever that interest remains and Newcastle are worried that Liverpool could return. I think so much of this still hinges on Luis Diaz's future. I think if he remains at the club and Liverpool aren't actively trying to sell him, I don't see this sort of coming about once again. But it's no shock whatsoever that Newcastle are still concerned that Liverpool could come calling again with money. I know there's been a couple of fees mentioned, but I think the biggest sort of factor in all of this is the dynamic now between Anthony Gordon and Newcastle, because clearly he knows about Liverpool's intentions. He knows about Liverpool's admiration for him. He clearly has a desire to play for Liverpool. By all accounts, he would absolutely love to do so, to play for his boyhood club. So again, I come back to what I said a moment ago. Chris used a reference this week, and you can't put that genie back in the bottle. Once Liverpool have said that we like him and he said he wants Liverpool, Newcastle have kind of got their hands tied ever so slightly.
I suppose, Alex, from a Newcastle point of view, they don't have to sell the player. They've now got to work on building. If he's really annoyed that the move didn't happen, and we don't know that, by the way, it might be, I really want to play for Liverpool, but I understand the situation, so I don't want to put words into the mouth of Anthony Gordon, but a lot of journalists have used phrases like, his head was turned, he was pushing for the move, he really wanted it. That is the only way. I mean, he would have to really kick up a stink for this to happen, and also Liverpool would have to pay a very substantial fee regardless. This report here from Lee mentions like £100 million is what Newcastle rate him at. Now they're not going to get that, but that's kind of my point. They, in theory, could say to Anthony Gordon, we'll sell you, mate, but they know what the fee is, and it's a very big fee. It almost feels like, yeah, I can't quite see a world where this one gets revived, because I just don't see the type of money that Liverpool probably would be prepared to pay for him is something that Newcastle might be prepared to accept.
Yeah, there's just no way that happens at that price. I think the fact that they sold Elliot Anderson to Forest for 35 million was a key factor in them actually maybe stepping away from the deal, because they met their deadline of PSR on July the 1st, I think it was. So I have been speaking to my Newcastle mate, Matty Renton, who does the Magpie channel. He said, obviously, his head was turned. They actually speak. They're on DMs and whatnot together after meeting and doing an interview. Obviously, it's his boyhood club. Obviously, he does tick a lot of boxes for Liverpool. He's fairly young, got Premier League experience. He's English. He's a boyhood Liverpool fan. That's great. But after speaking to fans outside Anfield the other day about this, because I really feel like this one, maybe more than any rumour in the last certainly 3 to 5 years, has split Liverpool fans like this one. And I think I spoke to about 12 fans. One of them said this would be a great move. Again, you mentioned Luis Diaz. It's a downgrade for me. I know the numbers maybe slightly skewed towards Gordon last year with a 10 in 10 in the Prem. But the eye test for me, Luis Diaz just suits what we've already built. Is it dead in the water? I think it's a kind of now or never stage. I think if it was going to happen, if we really did want him, we would have accepted that deal. we obviously rate Jarrell Quansah very highly, so it wasn't realistic for Liverpool. But he wants to move, and like you say, it's like, you know, being with a girl and then you half cheat on her and she thinks, oh, you have got one eye on the door, yeah, you little dirty dog, after a few drinks. So, yeah, I think it might be dead, and I actually don't really want him to come. I don't think we need him necessarily when you know Gakpo's been playing so well in that position for Holland. Jota can even play there, has done, and Luis Diaz plays there, so... Anthony Gordon, where does he fit into that hierarchy? Probably fourth for me.
I suppose that the only way it happens is like it would be, you'd have to imagine it's because Barcelona come in or PSG come in for Luis Diaz. But even then, and this is when now the PSR deadline's passed, we have to acknowledge Newcastle are fucking
It's like they sent a drunk text.
Yeah.
And you go, that was weird, but you did still send it at 4 a.m. So you must have been thinking about me a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. Newcastle, because the PSR deadline, and they are loaded. They don't have to do anything. Anthony Gordon,
he won't kick up a fuss.
That's what I'm saying.
He'll crack on.
I can't imagine a world where he goes in and is booting balls and kicking ground and stuff like that. So
you wouldn't want him if you did, by the way, either. You don't want that type.
No, but that's what would have to happen, and I just don't think that is going to happen. It's really difficult to think how this one goes through, because I go back to Newcastle are loaded and they don't need, you know, you can sometimes poach a player off a club because they're a bit skint. Yeah. Newcastle have met their deadline, and if they value, and I understand where they get £100 million from, they look at what Manchester City play for Jack Grealish and go, we'll just have that. Young English left winger coming through, had a really good season, we'll have that. That's how we value. And I don't think he's worth that. But I can see down why Newcastle will go, that's what we want. Yeah. And there's no way Liverpool pay £100 million to Anthony Gordon. That is just absurd.
No, I agree. Yeah, Newcastle are well within their rights to have that valuation on his head, because ultimately, why not? They've only had the player for 9 on 12 months, and they paid a good chunk of money for him in the first place. He's definitely progressed. The trajectory is very much upwards. He's had an incredible season at Newcastle. You mentioned his numbers a moment ago, Alex. So yeah, Newcastle, they've got no rush to sell. What I would say on that is, and you're right to mention their finances, but their finances are one thing, but on paper and actually how it transpires in terms of PSR and FFP, they're actually not that flush with cash. So they've kicked that can down the road. They got away with it for all intents and purposes in terms of the last deadline, but they've got another deadline to come in 12 months' time. So selling players at high prices and high value would still be in favour of Newcastle. And I do wonder from Liverpool's point of view, I agree with the 100 million sentiment, and I don't think he is worth that. No way, no two ways about it. But if we were to sell someone like Luis Diaz and PSG and Barcelona were to come calling with upwards of 50, 60 million, if you look at it in a way whereby you're only paying 20, 30 million for Anthony Gordon, that for me is a completely different conversation. So I don't think it's necessarily dead in the water. And also, I don't believe that Anthony Gordon would do what you said, go in there, start kicking off and not come to train and all that sort of stuff. And again, I'll come back to what I said. Liverpool should be removed from that conversation instantly if he was to that, because you don't want that type of player. That no dickhead policy that Jurgen Klopp installed, that needs to be one of the legacies of Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool for me. I don't want us to get people like that. However, from Eddie Howe's perspective, from Newcastle's perspective, from Anthony Gordon's perspective, if his head's been turned in such a manner that he's now, one eye is already firmly fixed at Anfield, it might just be in the best interest for everyone to say, listen, and Newcastle, don't forget, they made their bed. They sent the text. Anthony Gordon didn't send his first text and say, listen, I'm quite keen to get away. Newcastle are the ones essentially offering up Anthony Gordon his
dangling
services.
The carrot
exactly.
Of his dream
so
move.
It's not Anthony Gordon's fault that this situation's arised. It's Newcastle. So he'd be well within his rights for my money to go back whenever he comes back from the Euros and say, listen, I want to be a professional. I want to go about this the right way. But listen, you've offered me to Liverpool. I want to go to Liverpool. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, so it is definitely one key. Again, it'll rumble on until it doesn't. I mean, obviously, as time recording, of course, he's still at the Euros, and then he'll have a holiday. So this one could go on and on. My guess is, Alex, to finish off on this one, the only way I think this rears its head again from a serious point of view is if Barcelona or PSG turn up and go, and Luis Diaz goes, I want to go, and they go, right, there's 50, 60, 70 million, and Liverpool, with a lot of cash in their back pocket, are now looking for another forward. You might be right. It might just be that it might not be first choice. It might be a Gakpo. It could be whatever it is. But unless... I just don't see a way where Liverpool spend that much money on that position, whilst Luis Diaz is still rather a Liverpool player.
I think we just reject whatever Luis Diaz gets asked about. If they come and say 50, 60, 70, we just stay strong and say no. Because then you're putting yourself into a situation where everyone knows how much money you've got in your bank, and they can be the one that are moving the needle in the deal. If we stand strong on Luis Diaz, we've got no worries. in my opinion. It's like, well, no. Next year we can have a conversation again. Also, don't forget, if Anthony Gordon, you mentioned the PSR deadline comes back around in a year. If he has a stinker, right, this season, maybe doesn't play as well, his head's elsewhere, probably at Anfield, would we even want him? And in a year, Luis Diaz could be on 15 and 15. So I don't want to sound like I'm Klopp in that era where he never let go of Wijnaldum, Henderson and Milner. But I do look at our squad sometimes and think, why would we don't need much coming in, and we certainly don't need much leaving. We've pretty much almost rebuilt a team that can challenge for everything. So what's wrong with it?
No, I tend to agree in certain areas. There's a couple of areas we could do with bulking out the squad a little bit. I think centre half in particular.
100%. For me, but left wing, no.
No, not in terms of bulking out. And I agree with the Gakpo point you made earlier. Look what he's doing at the Euros now. He, for me, and I said this to Chris yesterday, deserves a shot and a run at being our left winger. However, when you look at terms like upgrades and what takes us to the next level and what gets us properly competing with Arsenal, Man City, I can't look away from DM. Wendo, notwithstanding, good player, but not the guy who's going to take you to that next level, and left wing. Because as much as I think the eye test point is a good one, and a lot of what Luis Diaz is really positive, and he affects games, he drags you up the pitch, he's a great ball carrier, he's so direct, I can't look away from the numbers, unfortunately, and they're just
he is unlucky as well, though.
Possibly,
a lot of posts, a lot of crossbars.
They're not good enough for my money.
Really?
When you look at Anthony Gordon's numbers, and not just his numbers, it's actually beyond that for me. It's the fact he scored against the entire Big Six last season. So he's not just getting his goals, he's getting them in big games as well. In a Newcastle side that wasn't exactly pulling up trees last year. So I think there is an upgrade to be made there. And listen, it might not necessarily be Gordon. The Kvaratskhelia in that conversation, Nico Williams as well. But I do look at the Diaz one, especially with all the noise around Diaz, which has come from his dad, for all intents and purposes, you know what I mean? So I do think, you've just said there, if 50, 60, 70 was to arrive from a PSG or Barcelona and Diaz was open to it, I think that's more of a conversation than just dismissing it out of hand.
I was going to move on, but because you brought a couple of names up there, Dan, this is interesting. And I caveat this, by the way, with the fact that we know Anthony Gordon wants to play for Liverpool. We might not know about these other players yet. But if you're spending £100 million, Alex, both of those two players, I think that Dan mentioned, might be better options. If you can get a Kvaratskhelia, if you can get a Nico Williams, and again, I go back to the point, they might not want to join. But if it appears they're probably both on the market, we know Williams has got a release clause, so he's definitely on the market. Maybe you'd feel more comfortable going for those. So I like Anthony Gordon, I think he's good. But if I was ranking those three players, actually, he would be third, and he's probably, depending on how Napoli value Kvaratskhelia, the most expensive of the three. So like logic would dictate that he might actually be the worst option. Again, I go back to it though, at least we know he wants to play for us. The others might not. They could have numerous options.
Probably want to play for Real Madrid, don't they?
I'm sure. I mean, everyone does.
Yeah.
But if you were picking those three players and you had £100 million to spend, I mean, I don't think Anthony Gordon would. I mean, it wouldn't for me. I think Kvaratskhelia would probably be number one of that.
Yes and no. Yes, because the name, the hype, the transfer fee he would command, the rumours, the links to all the top European clubs for Kvaratskhelia and Williams. But Premier League proven.
Yeah, it's a point.
Diaz and Gordon over them two, for me personally, just because of, what we've seen for the last two to 3 years. Listen, I'm not saying that Anthony Gordon's been one of the best left wingers in the world. Far from it. In fact, when he was at Everton, I used to call him Anne Robinson, the weakest link, because that was Claire Boulding. That was another name that came around. So I didn't like him. But he has proven the ability you need to play in a top side in the Premier League. Listen, Newcastle got into the Champions League. They didn't stay there, but he was a big reason why they got there. But if I had 100 million right now, I'd probably keep Luis Diaz, mate.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just because I've seen, and again, you're right, the numbers do need to improve. If we can add on a 5 and a 5 onto each of those numbers to get somewhere near to maybe Mane's first or second or maybe third season, then we're looking at a world beater. But again, it all depends on PSG and the money that they've got. Does Barca have the pool still? I mean, the dad can just stop doing interviews as far as I'm concerned. Diaz did come out about a month ago, didn't he, in a press conference, said, I'm more than happy at Liverpool. Yeah. Tell your dad that then.
Yeah, I think he probably wants more money, reported on a low wage. But I mean, at least we know officially now roughly down what formation the manager plays, because...
How do we know that?
Yeah. Good old Chris Page got his box off there. So if we are going to play a more traditional a wide left player.
4-1-4-1 as well.
He mentioned 4-1-4-1.
For freedom. Do a bit of that and then flip something.
When we've got the ball, do what you want. When we've not got the ball, aggressive.
Four and vibes is kind of how Arne Slot put it. left wing is an important position, but I go back to it. That's a big, regardless of what happens, that's a big chunk of change to spend on there. Because you just mentioned before, there are other areas I think you'd rather see Liverpool invest in. And Alex has got a good point. If you can sweeten the deal with Luis Diaz and say, listen, we want you to stay, maybe give him a little bit of a new contract. He probably
that's my next question to you guys. He's on 55k.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, we know who's at the top, but there's players that are...
Like Gravenberch is
150, isn't he?
Reportedly.
Is it a case where instead of maybe entertaining the idea of him leaving, we just lock him down? But there's 150 a week.
So he's got 3 years left on that deal that we're talking about right now.
Who signed that for him, by the way?
Which is a bit mad.
Is it 3?
Yeah, 3 years. 2027, I think I might.
Is it a 6-year deal?
So, yeah, 5.5.
Fucking hell.
So he came in January, didn't he? But
I know it's a lot of money back home in Colombia, but
that's the difference. I think Liverpool were all over the deal because they knew they could get him through the door and that sort of weekly wage. Another factor as well. The fact he's a really good player. But you just said there, like improving his numbers by 5 here and there. He's not 24 anymore. Like, and I sound like I'm really sort of being downbeat on him. I love him. If we start the season with him, I'm perfectly fine with that. But the improvement in the ceiling doesn't really exist. Kvaratskhelia, Nico Williams, Andy Gordon on top of they're already 23, give or take. Nico Williams even younger than that, you know what I mean? So
Diaz 26,
27.
When
he turns 28 in January, so he's
he's got very similar birthday.
So there's a higher ceiling for lots of them. I don't know how much more we're going to see Luis Diaz.
Well, Arne Slot said today, didn't he, at press conference time recording, like, his job is to make players better. He might just look at Luis Diaz and go, listen, in my system I could get someone out of you. But
Fabio Carvalho could play there.
I mean, speaking of when the manager said he doesn't play 4-2-3-1, I think Fabio Carvalho might have been the one who said just...
He was in the canteen going, for fuck's sake. Yeah, get on the phone. Come on, get me a club.
Oh, for God's sake.
He looks so depressed at breakfast.
Get hold back on the phone. Yeah, it'll be a fascinating one.
Call them Tigers again.
Yeah. It'll be fascinating to see what Liverpool do. If anything, at left wing, who starts the season. Let us know in the comment section. If you had to rank these 4 players, you've got Diaz, Kvaratskhelia, Williams, Gordon, in what order? And bear in mind the fees as well. It'll be fascinating to find out all of your answers. Right then, let's move on to story number 2. Alex, I'll start with you this time. So there are plenty of reports now coming out of Algeria, which is the world we live in, that we get these. It's amazing how connected the world is now. Rayan Aït-Nouri of Wolverhampton Wanderers, loads of reports saying he's set to leave Wolves. Liverpool are apparently in pole position to sign him. I know David Lynch, of course, Liverpool reporter, spoke on the Anfield Index Media Matters podcast the other day, and he said, he believes more than knows for the fact that, there's definitely legs in this one. I think he said how he phrased it.
Yeah, I heard that.
It's again, when you're looking at like positions where you think Liverpool needs to immediately address, I'm not sure how far up the agenda left back is, but they've been linked with this player before. There's a lot of news coming from his home country, which who knows if it's true or not. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I really like the player. I kind of stood up and took note really in the last game of the season. You guys were at the game as well. Was there a moment where he's helped one of our players back up who was injured and the cop clapped him? And then he had a picture of 2 Scousers after and had a little hug. That was cool. I mean, he was one of the best players on the pitch that day. Obviously, he's been playing, well for Wolves now for 2 or 3 years. He's been on the radar of all the top teams. I think City would definitely look at him if they kind of abandon the 4 centre-backs idea and maybe look for a more natural left back as opposed to Nathan Ake. I actually think he could end up there. I know they've been linked with... Who's the fullback they were linked with the other day? Big fee? Name escapes me, but... Yeah, I would like him, but again, a left back for me, it goes centre back, goalkeeper if Kelleher leaves, by the way, and potentially a number 3. Now Adrian's gone, so that's maybe even 2 goalkeepers, or you promote Jaros.
Yeah.
And then the left back, mate, that would be like 4th for me. And again, I don't want to sound too emotionally attached to the players, but Robbo's still got another year or 2. Yeah. Like, I don't see and we've still got Kostas Tsimikas, who...
There's your doubts for me, Kostas.
See, I don't see him as a massive doubt. Maybe I'm a bit naive,
it's more a case of if he wants
his future. You mentioned Kelleher there, and his future being a little bit up in the air in terms of whether he wants more football.
Though, apparently,
Kelleher. Yeah, I don't think he'll want to stay though.
Yeah, well, for his own career, maybe it's best. Yeah. But you could say that for a Gomez who won't play every week. You could say that for Kelleher, but I'd rather, on a selfish way, I want them all to stay. But I don't think again, cool player, ticks a lot of boxes. Premier League experience, young, internationally capped with Algeria. He's French, I believe, but chose to play for his motherland country. Played really well at Anfield. That's always a decent, audition, like Nunez for Benfica. So, yeah, I like the player, but priorities, not number one for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Good player, though.
Yeah, he's a good player. And the report, and I'll get the outlet's name right, La Gazette du Fennec, I'm going to go with.
Nice.
Let's go with that one. They say Wolves wouldn't sell for less than 40 million euros, which is
that's about right.
Give or take £34 million. His release clause is meant to be around £38 million. So I actually think when again, I've said this a lot on other places, but like when I see a transfer rumour, I've got in my head usually, and I know last summer kind of blew this out the water a little bit, almost like a Liverpool tick box of what a player needs to be. And like I always think age
is there.
23 ticks
Perfect.
that. Yeah. How many games has he played professionally? Ticks that. Is he at a club you can get him out of? Well, yes, because we've dealt with Wolves before. Is the fee something you can imagine Liverpool paying? That 30 to 60 million pound range, often is where Liverpool.
It's our sweet spot.
That is like that. There's a lot going for this one in terms of the usual Liverpool smell test. It's again, we don't know how legit the rumours are, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like kind of what David said as well. This isn't one that you just go, that makes no sense. Absolutely, there's no way Liverpool are signing him. Yeah. Like you see some of the rumours and you go, like fuck, like not. It just isn't happening. This is one actually that doesn't. There are no major red flags over maybe the injury record, but it does feel like a bit of a Liverpool-y type transfer.
Yeah, it's got all the hallmarks, absolutely. Certainly with Michael Edwards back in situ or in the round, I'd say, someone who seemed to sing from the same hymn sheet in Richard Hughes, I would say. Yeah, I think there's lots to like about Rayan Aït-Nouri. I think he's technically very, very good as well. He was kind of like used as a bit of just a central character, really, by Gary O'Neill at Wolves. He was so instrumental to everything they did. And I know they've got attacking prowess in your Nessos and your Hwangs and get them fit. But Aït-Nouri was absolutely massive for them. Obviously, predominantly playing as a left-back stroke left wing back, but moving centrally at times. It felt he was just imperative to get on the ball as often as humanly possible because he was so good. So yeah, big fan of the player. I guess the only caveat to everything we've been saying is similar to what we said about Andy Gordon, actually, in terms of how well stocked we are in that department. Because you are right, Alex, like Andy Robertson, I have no issues with whatsoever. We probably do need to start looking, as much as we talk about a succession plan for Mo Salah on one side, Andy Robertson might need a succession plan as well. Some people might have that down as Simicast, and fair play. I'm not particularly in that camp. So we are well stocked when it comes to those two I've just mentioned. Even Owen Beck, Luke Chambers, Diswell, Callum Scanlon, believe that. So we have a lot of left backs. But again, if Simicast was to turn around, similar to Kelleher this summer, and say, listen, I want to go and play regular week in, week out first team football, someone like Aït-Nouri would make an absolute abundance of sense. And similar to Anthony Gordon as well, a moment ago, who would walk over hot coals play for Liverpool, I think Aït-Nouri would be halfway up the M6 before you could even get the deal even close to being over the line. So yeah, I would not be adverse to that whatsoever. And for that money, and also I'd caveat again all of this by saying if Simicast was leaving for 15, 20 million, I'd be all over right now. I
suppose, we heard Richard Hughes speak at his press conference. Ironically, we get to hear from the sporting director, which is cool. That wasn't a thing that Michael Edwards often did.
Dynamic.
Yeah,
it's
a European dynamic, And he did say, Liverpool have got, he said, I know we need to improve, but also if there are opportunities out there, we can be opportunistic, I think is the way he phrased it. Liverpool have tried to be opportunistic with Lenny Yoro, and a player become available and they tried to get in. Again, at time recording, it looks like they're going to lose that battle to Real Madrid. But if Aït-Nouri comes out, shocker.
Just before you carry on, I'm sorry to butt you in. Do you feel like there's only one club in world football that can little bro us?
Yeah, it's Real Madrid.
It's Real Madrid, isn't it? It's the one complex I have against another team where whatever I do, it's like I can't get near them. Everyone wants to join them. It's like the better looking guy. Everyone wants to be with that guy, not you. But there's only one of them.
Do you understand it though?
I get it. Yeah,
same.
I get it, but it's
not
hard
17 European clubs or something.
Most of them are against us.
It's not a nice feeling, but I also fully get it. As crap as it is,
but it's shit because we're that guy for everyone else, and then he walks in the room. We're like, oh, we're not that guy.
Well, I was literally the Lenny Yoro opportunistic thing, like you mentioned. Real Madrid looks like put a stop to that one. But Aït-Nouri, again, it might not be a position where you go, we need that player. Like, we are absolutely crying out for a new left back, left midfielder, left wing back, whatever you want to call him. But he's available. The fee seems to be one that I think we'd all agree is a fair price for such a decent player. And, maybe that's why Liverpool are being interested, because They've sensed this is actually a good opportunity to sign a good player. I understand whatever it means for Robertson or whatever it means for Tsimikas, doesn't really matter. We just actually like the player, and that's a deal that we would feel comfortable getting done regardless of, and then the chips will fall as they may in terms of the squad makeup later down the line.
With Aït-Nouri? Yeah. Again, it's difficult to say that we shouldn't do this because there's so many reasonings for it in its favour. Where does Kostas Tsimikas end up? I think he's the key determining factor in if this deal gets done or not. Does he sit down with his agent and the club and say, I love Liverpool, I'm happy here, so I can play the bit part. You might get back feedback from Slot and say you're pretty much the third choice left back now, you're not even second choice. Then do you have a chat and go, right, Premier League, who could we go to? Were Brentford maybe rumoured with him at one point when they were going for Reguilon? You'd want to stay in Europe. I think he's a good player. I do think he's a good player, but obviously Rayan Aït-Nouri is an upgrade. So there's so many dynamics that we'll learn more about over the season. I mean, one of my big centre-back questions I'm asking at the minute, if Lenny Euro is not coming in, we've put a 20 mil price tag on Sepp Vandenberg. Is he someone that maybe steps up and becomes that Jarrell Quansah of what he was last season? Quansah's probably the third choice now. Does he slot into that fourth position and we actually promote him? What do you think of that? Because he's got decent reviews from Germany.
Maybe, I don't know.
He's probably the problem with that.
I think he would like to leave, and then
he showed up today, didn't he? He was at training today.
Yeah. He might have a conversation with Art in the slot, and Slot might say something similar along the lines of what you've just said there and really back him and say, you've got an opportunity now. You've got a 4 or 5 week period over pre-season with some of the bigger lads away, by the way, as well, to throw into the mix. Shout. You've got yourself a chance. Impress me, get in front of me, let's see what you can do. And he may turn on his head, but because of a more Liverpool general problem that he's faced during his time, he's never really been given the opportunity. He's already come to terms with the fact that he said publicly that he wants to move on this summer. So difficult one to see him staying right now. But again, dynamics could change.
On the Tsimikas one as well, Dan, it's worth mentioning, like, this isn't new for Kostas. He signed for Liverpool to be the backup left back. He can't be.
He knew the role.
He's only just signed a new contract as well. Like, he knows the score. He was never going to be Andy Robertson's replacement. It was just never going to happen. He was always a backup. He's too old to be, well, I'll wait in line for my chance. That wasn't going to happen either. So it's all well and good saying, oh, we just buy Aït-Nouri and we get rid of Kostas. You've got to get rid of Kostas. He's for the fee and for the wage and for a club who wants him and for one he wants to go to. This isn't a case of like a lad who's running out of contract and he's desperate to go and get a move. Liverpool literally rewarded that guy with a new contract not so long ago. So that's where my things at with the left back are. Is this just Liverpool maybe getting their ducks in a row in case Kostas goes or in case whatever? Or actually, are they really keen to get Aït-Nouri, and in which case you'd imagine it would have to be Kostas going?
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, I do wonder whether, I imagine when he arrived, he might have had, ideas of grandeur potentially about replacing Andy Robertson at some point. And maybe he's looking at that situation now and going, that isn't going to happen. I probably had my best run at that. Because every time he has got in the side, whether it be through injury or just general fitness problems, Andy Robertson, he's never really nailed down the spot. He's done well. He's had his moments along the way, don't get me wrong. And obviously penalty cup winning, penalty shootout winning penalties will be a moment that we never forget from Kostas. But I do think the time has sort of come and gone for him to be Liverpool's number one left back now. And there'll be suitors for him out there. I've absolutely no doubt about that. There'll be people willing to pay what Liverpool want in terms of transfer fee. The wages might be a more difficult conversation potentially, but could he be happy just being the understudy to Robertson? If he's looking at Robertson and seeing his injury problems, like I say, maybe he thinks he's going to get even more football than he ever has done, perhaps. But I don't know. If we were sat here now and saying Andy Robertson, touch wood, this isn't the case, he's going to miss 15, 20 games, we want that to be Tsimikas. We'll be okay with that.
But that would explain Aït-Nouri's situation.
That's what I mean. I'm not certain.
Do you think he ends up at City, though? In any world? Aït-Nouri?
I would say yes, because I think it makes sense. But at the moment, Pep seems...
They're smitten with a 4 centre-back.
He just likes playing foot. And if you look at Arsenal, I'm going to speak about that later, they look like they're going down that road. So, I mean, look, I don't think Liverpool are.
And Guardiola, second half of the season as well, really came to the party for City. Yeah, so I'm not sure. Great player.
He had a great second half of the season, didn't he?
Yeah. Be interesting to see how it goes. But Aït-Nouri, what do you think, Dan? David said, didn't he thinks it's definitely got legs.
Yes.
Would you tend to agree. You're not just completely dismissing this one as bullshit.
No, far from it, because for all the reasons we mentioned earlier, I think there's lots to like about the player, and there's lots that Liverpool will like about the player. He comes straight out that Michael Edwards sort of wheelhouse playbook, if you like, which Richard Hughes is clearly tapped into as well. So yeah, I think there's loads to be hopeful about when it comes to this possible deal if people are keen on him. But again, I come back to it, I don't see a world. I forgot to mention Joe Gomez before when I was talking about possible left-back options as well. Like, he has to fall into that category now. For a little while last season, he was actually keeping Kostas Tsimikas out of the team. Yeah. I mean, and I always come back to this whenever I speak about Kostas Tsimikas. He literally wasn't in the squad back end of the season. Like, you can have conversations about being happy to be an understudy, happy to be a backup, but when you're a professional footballer and you're not even getting picked in a matchday squad at the age of 27, something's awry. Like, so you've got to take a serious long, hard look at yourself.
He's been with us now.
Yeah, time for Olympiacos, didn't he? And as I said, at the time, I think it was 12 million. Liverpool will make a profit on that, whatever happens. He probably came in thinking, I can have a go. He should have been coming in thinking, I can have a go. I can get over Andy Robertson. I can usurp him. Hasn't happened. Played a good amount of football. Had good moments. This, for me, feels like the tipping point now for his summer. I think he probably has to go because, as I said there, literally wasn't in the matchday squad end of the season. You can't be happy with that. So maybe a Brentford level club's not a bad shout. Someone like a Brentford or West Ham, possibly even slightly higher than that, might be doing him a disservice. You like see your Brightons this world can do a lot worse than Kostas Tsimikas.
It's a good shout.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely one to watch. Finally, then we've been speaking defenders. Not so much a Liverpool story, Alex, but I'll start with you. Obviously, I know you frequent London quite often and converse with many an Arsenal fan, including unfortunately, yeah, for your sin. I mean, that's the job you chose, mate, and you very much have to lay in that bed that you made. Arsenal look like they are advancing with a move for Riccardo Calafiori. He's given the green light according to Fabrizio Romano. Talks have started between the two clubs. That's the latest. Again, at the time we're recording this. If it's completely wrong, by the way, you'll never see or hear this because we'll edit it out. So let's just presume that it's right. He was linked tentatively with the move for Liverpool. I think James Horncastle wrote in that letter that Liverpool were one of the teams interested in him. There you go. Dan's that's what I'm reading. The same. Yeah.
That literally just happened right this
second.
second.
I know, I'm reading it. I'm on it. Yeah.
What
agreed terms.
Yeah.
2029.
That's what I just said.
It's agreed.
I said these agreed terms.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and they're discussing the fee. Anyway, again, go back to he was linked with Liverpool, and yet it appears, I don't know if Liverpool, by all accounts, didn't really push for this one, but it feels like there's a lad there who would solve a lot of issues going for a fee that remains around 50 million euros, which, again, stomachable. We don't know. It might be Liverpool did go for it, he just was like, nah, I want to go to Arsenal. We'll never know the reasoning, but this feels a very significant move for Arsenal. Good player they're going to get there, and also a player like he defo could have been something for Liverpool. You'd imagine he was on some type of list somewhere. So why do you think Liverpool didn't really make a push? Because we haven't really heard any noise other than tentative Liverpool like him. Chelsea apparently made a big go at it. It looks like Arsenal won that battle, but it feels like Liverpool didn't get into the mix for this one.
Yeah, you can definitely sense that he's popped up on the data sheets and the search engines that Liverpool use these days. I'd like to think that between Edwards and Hughes, if we really wanted him, we would have been serious and got him. I'd like to think that. You don't know what the packages Arsenal have offered. I think there is a slight risk of him becoming a bit of a Locatelli in a way that had a great Euros, and we've seen it with how many players in the past. We were bloody victims of it with El Hadji Diouf in 2002. But what I wouldn't want for him is to have a really good Euros. I mean, I say that Italy are out, so it wasn't that good in the end. But to have
he played 2 good games.
He played 2 good games, and then you get bought by a big club, and then what happens after? A little similar to James Rodriguez maybe after Brazil as well. It would have solved a lot of our issues, especially on that left-hand side. He could obviously drift out to left-back as well. Left-footed centre-backs are always a nice addition to the squad. They're quite a unique talent set. So for 50 mil, if you're asking me, would I have had him for 50 mil? 100%. It now means that, not that he's the only option out there, but it now means that Liverpool are going to have to think and maybe tactically find someone else in that market that fits the bill. I think when you've got Virgil, Konate, Quansah, Gomez, you could argue that Liverpool maybe don't need a centre-back. I would say they still do. But now who do we go for if it's not him? I'm not too sure. I mean, Lenny Euro's he's only 18, isn't he?
Yeah.
The kid. Unbelievable fee that he's going to go for. So, yeah, I don't really have another name to mind, if I'm honest with you, that's there to grab.
I think it half explains the left back links. I've gone back to it before.
You can piece all this together. We're like Cluedo right now.
So Gomez comes to centre half again.
And I like Calafiori. He's younger, and I get that, but like, is he? I think he's good. I think he's really good. Like, is he that much better than Joe Gomez, where you're willing to spend 50 million quid on him, and then have to do something with Joe Gomez? Like, it goes back to similar to what we said with Gordon and Diaz. Like, there are certain areas I think it's really, really easy for Liverpool to go, yeah, we'll do that and upgrade straight away. But because Liverpool, and Arne Slot said this down at his press conference, they've got a really good squad and they've got some really good players. And when you're looking at value for money, and I'm trying to think of the correct phrasing, but like, the level of improvement on what you've currently got is the value there. Joe Gomez is a left-footed centre-half who can play left-back. Ricardo Calafiori is the same thing. Like, Liverpool do have one. What they haven't got is, we all believe, is probably another really good left-back option if Andy Robertson goes. So if they are in for Aït-Nouri or the full-backs, maybe that does explain why they're not in for centre-back, because, like Alex says, this player would have been all over. He would have shone all over the data. He just would have. He's had a good season for Bologna. The price is right. Everything's there. They haven't really done anything for this one. So there's obviously logic behind the madness, for lack of a better phrase. No,
I'm sure there is. Yeah, and listen, making Joe Gomez an out-and-out centre-back again could well be part of that rationale and part of that reason. Listen, I've made my thoughts clear on that for a little while now. I'm not in love with the idea whatsoever. I'll be brutally honest about it.
Centre-back.
Yeah, listen, I'm okay with it, sort of as and when, potentially in certain types of games, but I like the version of Joe Gomez we've just seen for the last season. He played more football than he's played in a handful of seasons, right? I think 51 games all told, with more minutes than most. I think only 3 other players had as many minutes as him, and that was from play a little bit of right back, predominantly from left back as well, even a tiny bit in the 6, a little bit of centre back. I like that version of Joe Gomez. I think making him an out-and-out centre back again doesn't suit, and we've seen the worst of Joe Gomez prior, obviously, when he made mistakes at centre-back and he just crumbled and his whole game went to absolute shit
right in a way.
After. Yeah, Napoli had been probably the case in point in terms of bad examples for that. So, yeah, listen, Joe Gomez had a resurgence last season for me, and it might lend itself to just being a brilliant centre-back again, because God only knows he was when we won the Premier League. He was absolutely outstanding that year. I have no doubts about his ability whatsoever. I just really enjoyed last season's version of him, so it's difficult. I would have loved Liverpool to win all over Calafiori. I think his ceiling is immensely high. I did a little bit of sort of digging and conversations in around him. Obviously, had a very good season at Bologna, was a key reason they got in the Champions League, which is pretty much unheard of. Obviously, Thiago Motta left. He went to Juventus. Juventus was very keen to take him there. He's had a bit of a strange sort of path towards his stardom, if you like, because he was badly injured, almost lost his entire career when he was like 17. So he's had to come through that adversity as well, which is another tick in Liverpool's box, actually. So we've had Diaz before, and I think Michael Edwards and Julian Ward really liked the sort of path and the journey he'd taken. I think Calafiori would have been in and around that conversation as well. So I'll be honest with you, I'm willing to sort of like park it and say, Liverpool have a plan. Like, there'll be other players on our radar. We'll be fine. But I am a little bit surprised and a little bit shocked that Liverpool have been closer to this conversation, because for the fee, for the talent, for the age of the player, all that sort of stuff, and for the profile of the player as well, being a left-footed centre-half, a proper one who can literally is being bought by Arsenal to play at left-back, that made so much sense, almost too much sense from Liverpool point of view.
It's worth mentioning, Alex, and we probably don't want to ever admit this, but like, transfers don't just happen in the blink of an eye. Arsenal could have been working on this for months. Yeah. Like, Liverpool could have made the phone call and listen, I'm going to Arsenal. There was the report here, wasn't he, like Max Wiefer from Feyenoord as well, who Liverpool reported had a little chat with, and he was like, well, I've already agreed to go to Brighton. Like, it could be as simple as that. Arsenal just maybe beat Liverpool to the punch, and fair enough, like, they're a very good team, they're a very good, in terms of winning things next year, they'll probably fancy themselves as more likely than us, and at the moment they've probably a bit more stability and that kind of stuff. So it's all well and good, like saying maybe Liverpool weren't. I mean, we'll never know, but like, Liverpool might have been. It's just that Arsenal could have beaten to the punch. We'll never know.
Do you think Arsenal, from his point of view, is a more attractive option than Liverpool?
I think he's more likely to play straight away for Arsenal.
Probably similar as well.
He's going to go and play left back for them, and he'll be their starter. I don't know if he starts left back for Liverpool day one.
Certainly not left side. Well, probably not left back, and certainly not left sided centre half. But for Liverpool again, what you're doing is you're future proofing centre half partnership.
No, I agree, but I'm thinking like Alex said, if you had the choice between which two to go to now, and you're a left sided centre back who can play left back, and you're looking, well, where am I going to get me game straight away?
It's Arsenal.
Arsenal makes sense.
Probably is Arsenal.
Because I actually think that's the one weakness of their team is left back. Yeah. They've got a really strong team. Arsenal squad's up and down, and I think they need numbers. But left back's the one clear improvement. I don't think either Zinchenko or Kivior
maybe the 9
have been good. Potentially centre forward, but when Kai Havertz helped them solve that a little bit last year. So left back we're talking about like areas for Liverpool to improve. Arsenal know straight away theirs, and it probably cost them a league title. Their left back position, because some of the goals they conceded from that area really hurt them. So
and they're doing it. So
like when you ask the question, to me, if I'm him and I'm thinking where am I most likely to play, I am probably thinking Arsenal.
Yeah, and there's a Selfridges in London, so you might like that. He's quite a stylish guy, isn't he? Yeah. He was the guy that was being interviewed by a good-looking presenter, and then his girlfriend walked past, grabbed his face, gave him a big kiss to say, yeah, don't get any ideas.
Marking the territory.
Pissing on the tree.
Maybe that's what Mikel Arteta did when we phoned up.
Maybe.
He just went, get here. See you later, Nana.
Yeah, like Dan said, I think you step away, and it seems to have happened all quite quickly. This, again, behind closed doors, they could have been working on it for months. But if it is a thing where they've seen he's had a good Euros, ticks all the boxes, that you have to almost applaud them for getting this done whilst the Euros is still on, by the way, and getting a full pre-season out of him as well. I almost feel like every pre-season now, Arsenal are adding, if it was Declan Rice and Jesus the year before, that let's say they're at 92% 2 years ago, now they're on 94. You add this Timber 95 if he gets fit, 96% chance of winning the league. If you get this lad Calafiori, they might get another striker. I do think, and I hate to say it, trust me, I hate to say this because of who I work with and what I do,
coming in it,
but I think they could win the league next year.
Just
100%.
But that would
absolutely can.
Yeah, just on it, just briefly. Like we listened to Richie Tuesday on a slot earlier on in their press conference, stuff like that, and I just hope Liverpool aren't as involved in these conversations as potentially they could or should be, because we're allowing Arne Slot to see the squad. And listen, in theory, there's nothing wrong with that. But if Liverpool aren't entering these conversations, I think Richard Hughes sort of referenced the Copa America being on, and obviously Euros as well, and just being the fact that we want Arne to allow to work with him on the training ground and allow him to see the players.
You're saying, is that halting us from being in these combos?
Exactly, that's what I hope isn't happening.
Right, okay.
Because I get all of that and the need for all of that, but then on the flip side, if there is a player, and listen, Calafiori may or may not be that, but if there's a player out there that for everything, it just is perfect for Liverpool, but we're not going into that conversation because these other things haven't happened, that would be disappointing for me.
I suppose, though, we kind of know that's not true because they were interested in Lenny Yoro. So,
well, only in so much as there was interest muted.
Well, they've clearly approached him, so they're obviously doing bits. We know that.
Maybe.
So
all the noise was around the requirement for patience, and we'll look at the market as and when, opportunistic, and all that sort of stuff. And Loro is a bit of a different case because he is just an 18-year-old kid that they deem to be sort of generational talent-wise. He's not exactly perfect profile-wise for this squad right now, so it's a slightly different one. But that's all I'd say. If we looked at Calafiori and gone, he's not for us, fine. But if we've not entered that conversation because we want other things to happen first, I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
that's not really what winners do, is it? You're kind of waiting around, seeing what we've got. Oh, is he gone now? We're too late.
I'd like to think that's not the case.
Well, yeah, with Hughes, and Hughes spoke quite well today in terms of not giving away too much, but also assuring the audience that we've been working really hard. We've been talking every day. Yeah. So again, we're sitting around this sofa. We're not in amongst the backroom chat, but yeah, you'd like to think that they've got everything covered. There's a big map, like in the war when they used to put pins in. Like, we like him, we like him, we like him. Hopefully, the radar is plentiful.
Absolutely, and that tends to be how these things work. Especially when Jordan Michael Edwards was time, you hear very little until and then it's
bang, and then pow, right in the kitchen.
Absolutely, it's absolute go time. So we'll keep an eye on when it is and isn't go time for Liverpool. Alex, thanks very much for coming in.
No worries at all, mate.
Thanks very much for coming in. Do go and check out Alex's work over on the COP TV, and of course stick here with us here at Redmen TV throughout the entire summer and beyond, because we've got you covered every step of the way with the latest transfer links, news, rumours and all that good stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next time. See you in a bit.